Okay, and we're back. And this is Islam Lecture Notes Part 2. We've been talking about the history of Islam, and this time we're going to talk more about what Islam, what does it mean to say that you're Muslim? What do you believe in? What are the core beliefs? This is the document you should have pulled up from Assignment 3. Write a brief description of each of the 5 pillars of Islam from the lecture. Okay, that's what you're going to have to do. And turn it in. So here's the lecture. Let's get going. Okay, Islam is this. It's submission to the will of Allah. Allah is their God. Okay, if you believe in Allah and you are Islamic, you are called Muslim. So Islam is an Abrahamic religion. Okay, we go back to Abraham, the founder of Judaism. They are strict monotheists, meaning mono, uno, one, so one God. Remember, the opposite is polytheism. Like we said, Polly want a cracker. Polly eats many crackers. So polytheistic is more than one God. But they are not. They are monotheists. They believe in the Judeo-Christian God, which they call Allah. Okay, we're not going to get too much into this, but Judaism, Christian is what we'll learn next week. So they believe in the same God as Jews, but they call it a different name. Okay, Jews would probably say that they don't believe in the same God, but they do. They say they do, and they call that God a different name. They call that God Allah, where Jews call the God God. Okay, Muslims believe that the Torah and the Bible, like the Qur'an, is the Word of God. So because they came from Abraham as well, they believe everything that happened in the Torah, and they believe in the Bible too, but they also believe in the Qur'an. Okay, the Qur'an was the inspired words of Muhammad that you learned about in the last lecture. So let me show you this genealogy, and hopefully you remember this, because this is what we saw when we learned about Judaism. So this is Abraham, and remember he had a kid with Hagar, and his name was Ishmael. And Ishmael had the 12 Arabian tribes. So Arabia, okay, the Arabian Peninsula, that's where Ishmael and his tribes lived. That is where Islam came from. Abraham later had a son with Sarah, named him Isaac. Okay, he had sons Jacob and Esau, and then from Jacob we get the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, so let's continue. All right, so let's learn about the Quran. Remember, it was the inspired words of Muhammad. Well, it was the words of God written down by Muhammad, because he was the messenger that got this information from Gabriel, the angel. So he received his revelation in the cave of Hira in 610. In 622, he flees for Medina. Remember, because in Mecca, they worshipped many gods, and he was saying to worship one God, and so that kind of ruined their ability to trade and to make money. And so this is the beginning of the Muslim calendar, is when he flees to Medina. Muhammad's revelations were compiled in the Quran after his death. Okay, so the Quran. Muslims believe it contains the Word of God. Much like the Torah contains the Word of God for the Jews, the Quran contains the Word of God for Muslims. It has 114 surahs or chapters, and it's all written in the name of Allah, the Compassionate and Merciful. And it's written in Arabic, which makes sense because they live in Arabia, which is currently Saudi Arabia. Okay, 5 pillars of Islam. This is where you're going to start writing stuff down. Number 1, if you are Muslim, you have to honor the Shahada. Shahada means faith. Okay, so you declare your faith. And this is straight from the Quran. And this is what they declare. There is no God worthy of worship except God, Allah. And Muhammad is his messenger or prophet. So they don't worship Muhammad, they worship Allah, but they consider all of their rules and laws and inspirational words to come from Muhammad. Number 2, the Salat. And the Salat means prayers. Okay, so they pray 5 times a day. The men do. At dawn, at noon, late afternoon, sunset, and before going to bed. Okay, they face Mecca and they use a prayer rug. So they face Mecca because the Kaaba is in Mecca, that big black box, you know. And the Kaaba actually, they believe that long time ago, Abraham made the Kaaba. So the Kaaba is special to them. It's a symbol of their faith, and it's in Mecca. So they face Mecca, and they pray 5 times a day to the Kaaba. And additionally, on Fridays, the men go to mosques, and they pray at noon. Okay, number 3, the Zakat. The Zakat means alms or charitable donations. So they give. Okay, they believe that all things belong to God, and so they give back some of their income, 2.5%. Okay, so some of the richer families, they might give back by building a mosque. They might build, a library or a museum or something like that. So they're giving. All right, number 4, the Sawm, and that means fasting. And if you don't know what fasting means, it means to cease doing something. So they might fast food, they might fast water, okay? But during the holy month of Ramadan, which is the 9th month, they fast food and water and drink, everything from sun up to sundown. Okay, so they don't eat or drink from sunrise to sunset during Ramadan. And they consider this self-purification. If you're able to say no to food and water, then you're able to say yes to Allah and purify yourself. And number 5, the Hajj. And the Hajj is a pilgrimage to Mecca because they want to go see the Kaaba. They face it every day when they pray. So it should be done once in your lifetime, okay? And this picture shows people making a pilgrimage. There's 2 to 3 million Muslims that make a Hajj every year. That's a lot of people coming to the Kaaba to see it, to worship it, to pray. Remember, they're probably still doing their prayers 5 times a day, even on their pilgrimage. Okay, and as soon as you make the Hajj in your lifetime, then you can have the title of Haji. They add that to their name. Oh, there it is. Those who complete the pilgrimage can add that title to their name. Okay, let's look at a mosque. So it's a place of worship. Okay, again, on Fridays, the men go to the mosques and pray at noon. So here's just kind of a picture of a mosque. You can take a look at the labels and the different parts of it on your own. One of the most famous mosques is the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. And it sits on where Mount Moriah rock is, and that's where they thought that Muhammad ascended into heaven. Okay, now the Jews, remember Solomon's temple was destroyed? Well, this Dome of the Rock is on the same place as Solomon's temple. And so the Muslims and the Jews are actually fighting over this one spot. Currently, the Muslims own it. Okay. Other Islamic religious practices, they can have up to 4 wives. You can't drink, no alcohol, you can't eat pork, you can't gamble. You live by the Sharia. It's a body of Islamic law regulated to daily living. You might think it is similar to the 10 Commandments, right? You have the Qur'an on how to worship, how to live your life, but then you also have a specific set of laws, the Sharia. And the 3 holiest cities in Islam, Mecca, of course, Medina, and Jerusalem, because that's where the Dome of the Rock is. All right, countries with the largest Muslim population: Indonesia, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Turkey, Iran, Egypt, Nigeria, Algeria, and Morocco. Are there Muslims in America? Yes. Okay, Muslim culture in New York City. Here's the Islamic Center in New York City. Okay. All right, that's all I got. So hopefully you guys got some information to fill out your lecture notes, which should look like this, but now they're filled out. Turn that in, and I will see you guys next week. Have a great weekend, or hopefully I'll see you at the Google Meet, okay? Mondays and Wednesdays this week, 1 o'clock. See you there.